Greetings, Captains. Gunship here. Today I want to review the North Dakota. I also played 10 battles in my lineup, or ship if you like. You don't only play the ship, you play together with a number of other ships. It's only when you're playing planes that you only play a single vehicle. But here, mainly I've been playing the North Dakota. And it's a great ship. There's no doubt about it. It's a worthy battleships, and in fact, this is the last, not the last battleship that I have to review or play or research, but I now have a battleship in every single nation that have battleships. So at least I have some experience about how it fares compared to the others. And it's good. Maybe not quite as good as the Hyuga, but it's a decent battleship. It feels like a battleship, it fights like a battleship. The secondary guns are good too on this ship, and you get 7 on each side. And quite often when you play battleships, you will find that you're constantly switching between your main guns and your secondary guns to get as many shells on target as possible. And with this ship here, I find that roughly you can, if you have aimed correctly and get your guns on target, you can get about 5 salvos up in your secondaries before you switch back to the mains, shoot with them, then immediately swap back to the secondaries and keep firing with those for another 5 rounds, then front and back. And it just allows you to put more shells on target. And of course, the more shells on target, the bigger the chance you destroy it, and you gain some points, and hopefully you can help your team to victory as well. Now, you don't just play the North Dakota as a single ship, you do it as a part of a lineup, and having reached the North Dakota, of course, you have most, if not all, the ships in the American lineup before that. And as you can see here, my lineup underneath that I've been playing with, and why I'm telling you about this is important because I want to adhere to how actually much it costs and how much can you expect to earn using this battleship. Now, as you can see, the little circle here on top, I actually do have a talisman on it, so that has helped me to research it quicker and faster. In my lineup, I got the North Dakota, the Helena, which is of course a premium ship, and the Baltimore. I also have the PT-18H boat in there, which when you're playing, especially the match where you have to capture A, B, and C, is very useful. And I think most players should definitely have a PT boat in their lineup or something similar, a small fast boat that you can take out and try and see if you at least can capture one of those points, because it's just a well-known fact. If you play these kind of games with War Thunder at the moment, if you do not have small boats that goes and take these areas up front, well, got a high likelihood of losing the battle. And actually, as you got 3 respawns, spawning in the PT-188 in this example here, it's well worth doing in that. Or maybe mid-battle could also be a possibility, but generally I tend to spawn straight away. To support me on the air, I got various options, but I tend to either go with the BTD just because it's cheap and it's a good torpedo bomber in the US lineup. But I'm also partial to use AM1 because, of course, you get 3 torpedoes with this plane. It's, I think, just as likely to get shut down in the BTD. It's a bit of a modernist. I have also tried to use the B-24 a little bit, but actually that plane, I don't have it fully spaded yet, so it doesn't work as well for me. So I tend to use the bombers there. Occasionally, very occasionally, I will use this little light bomber, mostly because it's hydroplane, so you can land and cap a point. And for that, it can be very useful. Sometimes it's just occasionally, if you have the opportunity, there's maybe a spot that people haven't, for whatever reason, gotten to yet, use that plane to quickly go and take a cap. You have to really slow down, really slow when you land on water. Otherwise, you just do a little turnover and you drown pretty quickly. So I've done 10 battles in the North Dakota, and it's been enjoyable. And for some reason, I'll show the listener shortly, it was pretty much one loss all the way down all 10 battles. I played most of those battles with friends from my squadron, so it's a bit of a mix. I played some of my own. And while I did it, I did research modules for the North Dakota. It did go quite well because I did have a couple of 150 research point bonus boosters that I used. Of course, it got the talisman on the ship, so it went quite rapidly to actually get modules and move my way forward. But the modules are expensive. Things like the ventilation, for example, was 41,000, same with shrapnel. And you come down to these things here down the bottom. They're really expensive, 92,000 silver lines to get one of these modules. So I'm not going to say you pay for the ship again when you research all the modules, but it's going to be pretty close. Now, I don't know what you personally think that you should earn per hour when you play War Thunder. And if you're playing high tier like the North Dakota, should you be penalized for that? Now, personally, I don't think you should. I think it should be up to you whether you want to play something lower tier or you want to play something higher tier. You have earned the right to play in this case, the battleship, because you spent time researching all the previous ship in the lineup. Same for tanks and planes, of course. Now, I did actually stream while I played, so I looked back and looked at the stream record because it's on YouTube and you can look it up there. But that actually took 4 hours and 13 minutes to do the 10 battles. So if you look at my silver lines right here, right now, I've got just a little bit over 500,000 silver lines. And what's your guess? Is it higher or lower than what I started out with? Well, I'll take the weight of guessing away and say that actually I did start out with 751,000 silver lines. So it has gone down quite a bit for playing over 4 hours, and I think I did reasonably well. It's not the best play at every battle, but I did have one or two battles where I were top of the list. Yes, I pretty much won and lost 50-50, but there's not much there to help me get the next item that I want if I'm losing silver lines. Now, I did a bit of calculations for it, so let's bring that up next and let's talk about how that looks like and let's get your feedback on what you think. So here we have the spreadsheet, and as you can see, it was basically a question about winning, losing, all the way down in equal amounts. As you can see, my silver lines also drained along the play, and you can see the modules I bought along the way. There's one battle where I managed to must just have fitted in, and I did have a 200% RP boost at the time. I managed to actually research 2 modules. Now out on the right hand side you can see the earnings or losses per battle that I played, and these take into account the modules cost and remove the module cost from that. So that is pretty much how the battles went, and yeah, it was average, I guess. Overall you can see I spent 307,000 on module costs, and bearing that in mind, over those 10 battles, I lost 222,000 in earnings because I paid out for the modules. If you conclude all that in real terms, I lost 52,000 silver lions per hour. If you remove the modules cost, which is the next bit further down, I earned 84,000 over those 4 hours. So I assume, let's say the ship had been fully spaded, I probably have ended up with something like that, and that would have given me an earning of 20,000 per hour, which you compare to what you can do in planes and tanks is pretty rubbish. I think you will agree with that. Maybe a surprise that you have to pay for high tier. I think that is irrelevant. I think it's stupid, and I think it's one of those things that makes War Thunder Naval less attractive to play. I know that some planes has a high repair cost and some tanks as well, but this is sort of taking the biscuit. Doesn't really help, especially because it takes typically half an hour to play a battle in when you use battleships, and so yeah, not great, is it? There we are. that's the conclusion on that. But please let me know in the comments whether you think that this was helpful. Was it good to see actual gameplay? I mean, I went through what ships that I use, what planes, etc. And I sort of plan to see your responses to this. And if you like this, then I will do it with other lineups I have, because it's sort of real. You know, I have decent lineups, I have decent crews. So if I can't make money out of it, then I guess it's gonna equal or resonate with a lot of you out there that's gonna have similar issues to the one I face. That's all for now. Wish you all the best of luck in the battle so in the future here, and so that's it. Gunship over and out.